Alright, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, Day 49. So here's the standard intro. No updates on this for today, so we'll move on quickly from that. And then we'll continue with... Oh, I forgot the Ethernet is not plugged in. Ugly Duckling says, "Hey Bobby, I'm big fan #1. Excellent, and you are #1. You even says so right beside your name. You're the #1 fan. Congratulations." Today I had my kind of recent focus is to just focus on finishing the improvements that I wanted to do in this game, so that I can release the next version, and then after that, I don't know. I need to focus on making more videos, focus on more videos, and also try and crush the accounting work. I have to finish my year end, but I don't know. I think I've got maybe. I think I said before I maybe have like 5 days. I could probably maybe finish it up in 5 days. I think it's still probably at 5 days at this point. But today I actually had a pretty big breakthrough. So I in order to support the multi-threading, I so that each frame renders in an independent thread, and then they all get combined together. I did a tremendous amount of refactoring work, even though the UI basically looks the same, but it's that's another bug gotta fix. But today, so as part of that refactoring work, one of the issues was, because I completely changed the map area, I made it inadvertently like incredibly laggy. So the last few times you probably saw it, it was incredibly slow. But I have today I found I was actually doing a call to like finalize and synchronize the frame way too often, and it was like should be moved up much further. So I'm happy to report that it's back to being butter smooth, and it's probably even faster now than it was before. My monitor's shutting off. I gotta plug it in better. I think my monitors, the cables. I'm every time before the stream I switch monitors, so it's I think putting stress on the cable. It's starting to go. Didn't realize Robert had a name change. I usually go by Robert, but I guess my #1 fan has decided to give me a different name tonight. I'm considering starting work on a new project. Would love to get your take on it. Sure, I'll provide whatever insight I can. Autistic Stoner says, "Hello, Robert. How's it going?" Galactic Past says, "Hello, Robert." So I guess I might as well just test a bit with the new UI. So it's doing a whole bunch of like difference calculations. So before it was I had like fairly manual difference calculations, like for each, depending on what I was actually printing. But now it's just like kind of writing to a generic frame buffer. What do you call a man with no arms and legs? Not sure. In a pile of leaves? Russell? Not sure what that means. It's a burp suite extension that takes in a JWT. It then reads the expiration date on it, and then sits and waits until right after that expiration. I'm actually not familiar with what burp suite is. You said it takes a JWT, the JavaScript web token. Man with no arms and legs. And then you said Bob. I'm not sure. I don't understand the connection between those two chats. To use workspaces, virtual desktop. I was a bit surprised that people don't use it because they don't know what would be the benefit of using it. I thought it was pretty obvious. Like on the desktop, I think there's like a. I think it's something I accidentally go into. Like I'll, oh yeah, this. That is that feature you're talking about? I never use this. It makes a call with the JWT to test if the backend logic is in place to reject the expired JWT. I guess, is this a more general question about like the integrity of like the authentication protocol? I'm not really sure if you're doing if it's like an authentication authorization protocol, those are important to get right. I don't know if you're kind of building one from scratch, the ideal thing is to go with like a more standard practice or a more established library. But I'm not sure. I'll see if there's more to your chat. A fishing bob doesn't have arms or legs. I guess that seems like a pretty random joke. Recently paid someone to take some junk of mine to the dump trash removal service. Turns out he illegally dumped it on the curb in front of someone's house. Wow. That's awful. I guess that's how businesses work these days. Mr. Elder, my escalating price super chats. I demand one calzone review. Thank you very much for the $5 to Sam. I don't know. I guess I'll have to do some research. We'll see. I don't know. My original goal in doing this was to focus on technology, but I mean, I don't really want to go down the calzone review rabbit hole and become the stereotypical calzone streamer. The actual joke is, what do you call a guy with no arms and no legs? Notion. What do we do with the minerals you're mining? Oh, in the game, currently there is almost nothing that you can do with them, which is one of the issues I'm going to work on. More about if you see a use case for it from a security perspective. My use case would be verifying if the backend server is in fact, if in fact verifies the data in the JWT. Okay. So I forget what a JWT was. It's a JSON object that has I think some kind of like, it's a JSON object that's serialized and then encrypted, if I remember correctly, and then base 64 encoded, or something. I remember learning about it for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of credible. That's kind of clever." I think if you want to know, I'm probably not the right person to ask. If it's it sounds like a novel web service you're building. I actually don't do enough like web development, production web development these days to really comment much on how practical that would be. I guess the question is, what's the end goal of it? Is it like a portfolio project to help get jobs, or is it it's just like a fun open source project to try out? Or he's now contractually obligated to make a calzone review. This is the big calzone and their influence operations. I think I remember watching a video on illegal dumping companies. Yeah, that's kind of amazing that someone would so brazenly set up a company and then just like dump stuff. Was it like construction material or something? GDP is sort of access token. Yeah, I forget. I forget the actual thing that's in it and the way they work, but I just remember it was I forget, was it in, at its core it's a JSON object. So it's a JSON object that only, I think the server can deserialize, if I remember correctly. So there's like a key, an encryption key or something. I thought OAuth2 is recommended over JWT. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I don't know. I'm not on the cutting edge of, what's common these days. So if it's, I guess it depends what is growing or not. If most people recommend OAuth2 for new projects, then I'd leave Burp Suite running for a while, but that's not uncommon in pen testing, especially if you have multiple deep scans. Yeah, maybe. I'm not familiar enough to really comment authoritatively. It was a large garage door I removed from the back of a box truck. 250 pounds of stuff, including valuable metal, if you recycled it properly. Yeah, that's kind of dumb. You could have taken it to the scrapyard, got some money. JWS header, payload, and signature. Each element is base 64 encoded. The header and payload are signed with asymmetric or symmetric encryption, and the result is tracked on the signature. Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I'm probably not the right person to ask. I guess maybe some of the people in the chat probably would. From the responses so far, they're more up to speed than I am. My mini PC didn't unexpectedly shut down today. I think the universe is just messing with me. After 2 consecutive days of shutting down, it decided not to today. Interesting. Is there any difference in temperature? Christopher says, hello. How's it going? Yeah, maybe it was lonely. Same place, same power supply. I guess you can leave it on for a few more days. I love it when this thing looks pretty cool when it's actually fast and not lagging. Just ripped a ribbon cable from fingerprint reader and power button on customers. Exists. 60 pounds for a used replacement. Yeah, it's unfortunate how expensive just like simple junk like that is. Or like my fan and my stupid computer that I spent. I tried to order 4 times. I ordered 4 separate fans. They're all supposed to be new. Only 2 of the orders weren't canceled. And it took like multiple months. And then I ended up with some used fans. I just learned there's enough EMF from my kitchen lighter ignition to make a popping noise in my Bose headphones. Interesting. That's surprising to me as well. Yeah, I know, like like the fire around plasma, like it'll disrupt electrical signals, but I wouldn't think there's that much that emanates from it. HTTP toolkits works very well. You can even inject certificates. Factory put a piece of tape on the top of the ribbon cable for some unknown reason. Probably so you'll rip it, and then you have to spend $60 on a replacement. Okay, let's fix some bugs. That's interesting. That's a weird bug. Our microscope and the tools to perform the repair, but are ripped in the wrong place. There's not enough room to attach wires. It's unfortunate that the repair business is it's a difficult it's a very Now it's very meticulous work for the gains you get. One wrong move and you can burn a lot of money really fast. Some laptops are very hard to take apart. I have a Dell laptop. Screws under the keyboard. To open the back cover, I swear they were doing it on purpose. It seems like they do. How's it going? It's just a chill night. Nothing interesting going on in the world. Nope, not really. Slow news day. What do you mean, raising funds? Raising funds for world domination. Do you listen to music while coding? If I'm not streaming. Kind of music, kind of random, depends on what I'm listening to at that time. Often pop or sometimes electronic music. You like artists like Pretty Lights or Odessa? I've not heard of those artists before. There's this one guy, makes banger songs. I've been hooked on it. Yeah, there's I used to listen to DJ Tiesto back in the day. He had some good hits, although a lot of his songs are just like other people's songs, kind of remixed. Can I send super chat? You've sent quite a few. I think I appreciate it, but I don't know. I don't want to. My hope was to get a more variety, and I think it's kind of it's not fair to just depend on one super contributor, unless you're like a billionaire or something. I got double censored. I'm not a billionaire. I think you're good for now. Your name is definitely quickly recognized around here. I think I almost think sometimes like the YouTube algorithm, like it kind of like caps the revenue. Like it almost seems like there's a significant like filtering effect. Like if it seems like if I maintain a certain content output rate, like I've noticed if the videos don't kind of trend down for something, then I'll start getting more channel memberships, or I'll get like a couple of big super chats. And then if I don't get super chats, then the ad revenue will trend up or something. So I almost think like it's like YouTube decides how much revenue you're going to get, and then if it doesn't get the revenue, then it'll just send a bunch of people here who will do other super chats. He's a trillionaire. Sometimes we just want to try to make the parasocial relationship a real one. Yeah, that's the one of the things about doing this. Like a part of this is also just like it's a research experiment to try out. Like, okay, streaming is this new thing. I should learn about it and understand it. But it's also it's educated me on like the negative aspect of social media, because like for all the frequent people who are in the chat, we're not physically in the same location, and you guys see my face and hear my voice, but I on the other hand, I don't even know. Technically, all of you guys could be bots. Well, some of them. I mean, we have even seen those bot waves that came in where I was chatting with people, and then they came on and said, "Oh, this is like some like ChatGPT test," and then they all started telling me to say Paula Gauzy or something. And in like a normal social environment, like 100 years ago, you're like physically in the same place, and you get to know the people who are physically around you. And it seems like more people are more like people are putting a higher percentage of their mind share in like and they're investing in parasocial relationships, which is kind of like it's not good for them. Not doing it for recognition. Yeah, it's definitely well appreciated. It must be at least a few $100 you've sent so far. I definitely appreciate it. I hope you're doing you're in a good position, because it's kind of it's difficult because I posted who's your biggest donor? I had a $300 super chat a long time ago, or about a year ago. The real question is who's longest time member? Wizard Pirate, I think, is the first one. Bradley's one of the one of the first few. Then you get crazy people like me. As long as you're not too crazy. Horology and John Cena. I was asking if it's possible to unsolder. We could have a Discord call just to see some of our faces, hear our voices, and the AI can cover that too. Yeah, I guess I could do that. Honestly, I think if I can reciprocate any kind of social value, I think that my monitors keeps turning off. I think the best thing I could do would probably create the community, the Discords plural, or the chat. So there's at least some people talking to each other in the chat. And if I could do more of that, then this stupid monitor keeps shutting off. So I gotta push the cable in. That was annoying. I pushed it in so it stopped flickering, but it pushed the frame off of the edge so I couldn't read it. Anyway, I almost missed that super chat. Assert potato from James Goodrich. Thank you very much. Richmond strikes again. Yes, indeed. Bradley is a bot, I think. Could be a very dedicated bot. I like to think I could be separated out of a chat full of bots. The thing is, bots are getting sophisticated. They can emulate anything now. It's a story in a nice Canadian way. Unfortunately, I did accidentally start a calzone mind control experiment, which ran away. Is now rogue. Yeah, but like I was saying, I think what would make the most sense to to fulfill people's parasocial goals is if I can just develop stuff like the Discord. Most people here are somehow substantially interested in technology, so stuff like the Discord, where if someone's interested in working on a project or has some to me, I think the actual success would be getting other people to talk to each other, and then then maybe you could meet the friend of your dreams through the chat or the Discord or something like that. Because I don't necessarily have the bandwidth or availability to kind of reciprocate everything that any individual person wants, or if someone has someone's really kind of obsessed with one topic and they want to talk about that all the time, I just may not have the bandwidth to reciprocate. I think bots avoid certain topics and words. They tend to gravitate towards political issues. It probably depends on the bot. If anyone came across a bot that swears, bots can do anything. You just throw. It's like imagine any language, any output you've seen from a large language model. Discord as bots are basically humans, but much better. Got censored again. Wasn't there a case where Reddit sued an AI company for botting a subreddit? Yeah, I'm sure there's tons of Reddit discussions that are all in that stuff is all in the LLMs now. I'm going to be mistaken as a bot for the rest of my life. I see them in political videos, but they seem to be catfishing scams underneath. I mean, those are the obvious ones, but like the sophisticated ones can be, like it's not hard to imagine a really good bot. Like with this stuff, if you just go to ChatGPT and say like, pretend we're having a chat on an online discussion about this thing, and pretend to be a person with this type of personality, and it'll give you like, it's totally indistinguishable now. A lot of them are also ads for a certain website to buy fans. Yeah, I mean, those would be the least sophisticated bots, but the really good ones would be indistinguishable now. How's ChatGPT? Keep the lights on. Use a whole neighborhood of power. I guess for now it's just venture capital keeping it afloat. IDK, who's running these, and do people click on them? It must be. I mean, it must be economic. I mean, I imagine it doesn't cost much to post a bot comment. It totally blows my mind that we just got screamed past the Turing test, and now there's so much hype around AGI. Yeah, that's it is a crazy thing. Like this is like a Cambrian explosion moment where, I mean, the future we're going into is going to be nothing like the past. I've seen another example. Syria, new leader was on a podcast with their entire comment section. Smart guy punted, talking about how great he is. The comments are all way similar in structure and wording. I had some commenters come in, and one of them started talking about like the leader of Syria, and then another person started talking to him, and then they switched to like talking in Hebrew, and they seemed like they were trying to have to me they seemed like they looked like real people, but I actually ended up banning them all because they kept switching to like another language I couldn't read, and they were just talking about like they're saying like, you know, some inappropriate stuff about all the ethnic conflicts and stuff over there. And I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of them actually super chattered at one point. YouTube also does nothing about them. You'd rather remove dislike button and double down in ads. Yeah, it's kind of weird how I don't know, they're seemingly apathetic on the bot stuff. Os Norman says, "Hey all, how's it going?" How's life been since the viral video? Not too bad. I've been continuing on with the video production. I have not output as many videos as I'd hoped. I had a hearing on the 26th. The conclusion was a bunch of the N13s were dismissed for some other tenants. We have another hearing coming up on an unspecified date. Got all my dental work done, and things are pretty decent now, stable, but revenue is trending down because I have not produced enough videos. I had a lot of distractions in the last couple of months, so I decided as an experiment to try streaming every day, which has produced mediocre results. But I think I'm gonna try and finish up some stuff and get back to long form video production soon. John Lai says, "Hi everyone, how's it going?" Time to start my own company where I take payment for services, then break the law and only do the bare minimum. That seems to be the standard business model these days. Speaking of videos, I've seen your video on the magnetic core memory from Russian computer. Yeah, I'm gonna make more of those. That's a hit video. I think that's actually like the top, getting the most views of all my videos right now. Google just updated YouTube UI and overlooked all problems. I hate to see this, but DEI hiring is ruining Google. And isn't the trend to stop DEI? They hired lead coders. Actually, have you guys noticed if you hover over, I think it's the play or pause button, there's a tooltip that says null. You can probably verify that right now. I think it's one of the buttons. I think it's the play or pause button, or the one of the tools option. Whatever they're doing is not good. Yeah, it's kind of amazing that random stuff like that just doesn't work. It's the volume slider. Oh, okay. Yeah, like how do you do that? Think about how many people are experiencing that. There's billions of views per day, and they can't even be bothered to update the tooltip of the most frequently interacted UI element. They fixed it? Oh, okay. I thought I even noticed it today. It's been like that for a while. Let me think. Trying to figure out why that thing doesn't update correctly. I think I tried about the Ladybird browser. I have not. haven't done much real coding in such a long time. Feels nice to watch someone code. Yeah, I almost feel the same way as well. I've been, especially with doing YouTube stuff, when doing so many, like, so much work to make videos about coding that I do very little coding. An open source browser made from scratch. Yeah, there's that's one of those like fun, interesting hypothetical projects. It's like writing your own compiler or operating system, but the problem is browsers are too complicated now. All right, interesting. Interesting. It's a mature project though. It's funded by many tech companies. I don't know, maybe it's just another initiative by Google in disguise to try and obscure their anti-competitive activities. So I'm thinking maybe the issue here maybe my difference detection code is working. Let me try something. I think it might be not updating because when the help menu frame is sending a message to update it, it's still in that buffer, but it's not different, so it doesn't propagate. It says there's no difference, so it doesn't propagate it on. So if I do that, that works. So that's not giving me anything. Now if I do enter, okay. So my guess is probably those areas. V-N, I-N-V, E-N, E-N-T. Those are it's probably E-N-T. So that's what's happening. So my difference detection code is working. It sees that there isn't a difference. My work computer takes 30 seconds, 30 minutes to turn off because it fetches group policy. Working with companies to make proprietary software. I don't trust you. Robert, can you help me? Not sure how to explain it, but I've been doing IT-related work for nearly a decade, but I still don't feel competent. I'll try to help. I guess if you personally, I know the feeling of like a imposter syndrome or an inadequacy is that's I think common in the industry. Personally, my perspective on imposter syndrome is I have never experienced imposter syndrome, and for me, that's more of a thing of like I honestly don't care if I'm bad at something. I'm interested. I've chosen this career path because I feel that it's intrinsically useful and interesting, and I think it can benefit society in some really significant ways. And so whether I would like to be better than worse. But in a way, I think if you have, there's multiple ways you can approach that. If you feel inadequate, like in the workplace, like if you feel like you're on the chopping block and about to get fired, that's maybe a different thing than finding purpose in the work. But I'm not sure. I need more context. Yeah, what's your skill set? Yeah, in my opinion, like I would prefer that everyone be interested in tech and be the type of person who hangs out in the chat here. Like even if they're not good, even if they're like legitimately, bottom 30% IQ, as long as they're like on the same team. Looks like Israel is striking Iran. Sent the markets into a free fall. Yeah, that's one of the other. Yeah, I'm not sure how big that whole event in the Middle East is today, but hopefully, Game Dev Chat. I know you were saying you're trading stock options and stuff like that. I hope you're positioned to benefit from any market turbulence. Tech is always moving. I feel like I'm constantly learning. Yeah, same. And I'm also kind of like, my feeling of like constantly, like when I was younger, I maybe would have felt inadequate. But at this point, I feel more like just annoyed. Like I'd say my breaking point was kind of around 2014 or like 15, 16. I'm just like, I'm not learning all these stupid JavaScript frameworks. And then I just stopped learning them. And they were, that was a good choice because a lot of them didn't. I have in the money Lockheed Martin calls. Well, thank you very much. But having said that, I hope that you have tons and tons of cash stockpiled somewhere, because if you're trading options, you're one market event away from. The markets are hard to predict too. It's I can't remember if I mentioned this, but so I actually had a little bit of money. I had like a few $1,000s back when the COVID stimulus and stuff was high, and actually that's one of the also contributed to me being totally broke. I bought. So I actually happen to know a bit about the European dependence on natural gas, and before they had their whole like natural gas crisis. Let me read those chats before they fall off. Sometimes I wonder if it would improve my imposter syndrome if I was financially well off. I don't care if I lose my job. I've got lots of money. Yeah, I think definitely being in a better financial position that would improve the mood a lot. I would feel imposter syndrome if I don't have any control over my work. Yeah, that's a big contributor too. Nasdaq dropped 2% last couple of hours. Save your money for the tax man. Yeah, you've been almost single-handedly keeping the chat revenue up for the last few days, or the last couple of weeks. I have a golden ticket. My landlord shares 50% of my DNA. Well, that's good. Not financial advice, short, INMB, not sure what that is. Do you think you would feel an imposter syndrome if you don't care about your work? You have so much money, you don't care. If you lose your job? Okay, that was a question to him. I could have been hit pretty hard today, but I knew to hold LMT with all the threats in Iran. Well, you're playing a dangerous game. I hope it works out well for me, because I think technically it's actually possible to do chargebacks on super chats, but it's like it's a manual process or something. But try to give yourself a goal. If you can get to like a few million in liquid net worth, then feel to go crazy on the super chats. No longer single-handedly keeping revenue up. Thanks, Brad. You've also been a significant contributor. But yeah, on the topic of trading, so I think I talked about this on stream at least once before. So when the war in Ukraine was first starting up, I knew about the European dependence on natural gas, and I thought, I saw how the war was escalating. People didn't really, at this point, it wasn't super obvious it was going to escalate. And I thought, you know what? I bet that natural gas pipeline, that's a huge, this was before Nord Stream was even mentioned at all. And I thought, you know what? That could be a huge risk. So I actually bought a super leveraged, daily double leveraged natural gas futures ETF, and it went up a bit. It went up 30% or something, and then it dropped back down. It went up a bit at first, and then after they actually blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which was insane. How many times do you make a bet on something that a war will start or some an earthquake will happen, and then the rare chance event, the black swan event, actually happens, but the price went in the opposite direction, and because it was daily leveraged, it was double leveraged. It's a negative return bias over time, so it just asymptotically went down, and I kept holding onto it, and I was like, this will be my make or break thing, because it basically goes down to zero over time. But if the underlying commodity goes up, then it would I would have made $30,000 on it. But it was my that was my lottery ticket, which I thought was, I was right about the geopolitical thing and the event, but I didn't get the price right. And clearly, I think there was something going on beneath the surface that I just wasn't aware of. I was like, there has to be some market manipulation or something. And I think actually, like now with the benefit of hindsight, I think there was a substantial depletion of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve from the US. I think they went down to like the lowest level they've been since they started it. And I think there might have been something on because it's a national security level geopolitical event. They might have, I think, maybe supplemented some of the natural gas stuff in Europe with crude oil or something, or like there's some people doing stuff that's smarter than I am. And then I heard that Joe Biden actually did one of the best oil trades in all of history around that time. So that might be somehow related to the underlying reality. But like if you're trading based on the news, if you think you're smart because you watched like some CNN or Fox thing that said like, oh, this thing happened in the world, it's not that simple. You can make the right calls in the stock market, and then you invest in something, and then it just goes in the complete opposite way, and you lose money, and you can't explain it, and but now you lost all your money. Your very swag bet is inverse to human well-being. You're making money. That's a good point, but I think in reality, it's actually adding liquidity to the market. Because when you make money, you're adding liquidity to the market. So basically, what it means is by buying it before it's in short supply, and then selling it, because when you actually sell it, if you sell it when the price is high, you're selling it at a time when other people need it the most, because that's by definition that's what happens when the price is high. If you corner the market and you're manipulating the market, you're profiting in a bad way. Super chats typically not refundable. Yeah, I think they're like generally. That's one of the other advantages why I'm okay with eating the 30% cost. Is because you're protected from chargebacks. Whereas if I take like PayPal or something, they can do a chargeback, and then I get someone can donate $1, charge it back, and then I think I have to pay like $20 or something. Stop dancing your bets on the collapse of other people's lives. I think it's the opposite, based on what I just said. Trading's so complicated. I wish I could find someone who I could trust to trade for me. I don't think if you could find someone who could do the trading, then they would trade for themselves. If you find someone who's willing to trade for you, don't trust them. Unless it's like a close family member or something. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 7%. Today was dumb luck. If you can call it war starting luck. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could just not have wars, and that we could just buy technology stocks, and then we would benefit financially from improvement of society. Okay, the issue is when I do updates, so that does a reset of the frames. And so that's printing over the area. So there would be the same thing sitting in that frame buffer. Maybe it's my print function is not working. When I am philosopher, king of the world, every trade will either have to originate or land in democracy, because democracies have never gone to war with each other, and trade partners are similar. I think there is a lot of people hate on like capitalism and trading and stuff like that, or like the financialization of things. But like the capitalism in Wall Street is it's an optimization system, and it works. It works really well, and I think it's effective. But also, I think it actually provides a lot of positive value to society. But the issue is that as an optimization system, it needs guardrails. So it's not capitalism itself, and like trading, the stock market is not bad, but when you have like insider trading, and when you have like even speculation serves an important purpose, because speculators take on risk. They basically are buying risk that other people are want to dispose themselves of. It's basically it's the exact same concept as like insurance. Insurance companies get to make lots of money by basically buying other people's risk. But of course, that's also another optimization system that it becomes really predatory. Like I think those wildfires in California, I can't remember, but I think I heard something about a couple months before those big wildfires down in LA, that insurance company just dropped everyone's coverage. It's been very effective at widening the wealth gap in the government. Lack of regulation spawn. Yeah, it's there's so many issues. Like the system could work. Like I mean, there's so many like very specific issues, things you can point to, and you say like, this doesn't make sense. Why are we doing it this way? Like the other like really specific example that I learned of is with my renovation. The landlord that bought my building, he uses CMHC loans to buy buildings, and CMHC is backed by the government. So effectively, some of that mortgage insurance is like, it's basically a subsidy, government-backed subsidy on buying these buildings, which they're buying at like the lowest. It's all affordable housing, and so these are the most vulnerable people, and then they try to rent evict everybody at the exact same time. And it's being partially backed by Canadian tax dollars. And so like that specific thing, and now we're crying about like, oh, we can't make the construction economic. Those tax dollars that are going to subsidize private equity firms to buy affordable housing, direct that money toward construction instead. To me, it's just such an obvious thing, but I don't see why. I don't know. No one with the intellect to be aware of this has the willpower to do anything about it. Capitalism is great when its failures are noted and handled. Yeah, that's the issue. I think there's also there's a lot of there's too many distractions, like all the kind of grassroots efforts to like fix some of these issues. They're just like, we need to abandon capitalism and have communism or something. But it's too big of a leap. Let's just try and fix the obvious things like what I just said, and then see if that improves things a bit. Like the live guys, excellent. Canceled the coverage 2 days before the incident. Cost insurance. Is that actually the statistic? They canceled it 2 days before the incident? I hate insurance. I'm on SSI, and I'm not. I learned at my dentist that the insurance companies of loopholes that prevent care. Yeah, insurance is becoming insanely predatory, I guess, as we've learned from that particular high-profile incident that occurred a few months ago. Forgot to ask, what happens on day 50? I think day 50 will probably be like any other day. I've got to do... my goal is to just get to the next stage of development on this. There's a couple... I haven't done much tonight. I want to fix... I'm going to make it so you can actually select things in the inventory. So there's going to be a selection item thing. That's number one. And then the next thing is there's a couple more UI improvements I want to do to the map area. And then also I'm going to try and fix this weird update bug with the with this thing. All right, so on the frame change, it's getting initialized to something that makes everything disappear. Oh, you know what? I might be forgetting. I might be forgetting to send a region update. Oh wait. So that change is getting out. Maybe. Show my comments in a row was hidden. Touched a sensitive YouTube nerve. Yeah, people getting censored a lot tonight. It's crazy what makes it past moderation so strict. Yeah, it is kind of interesting how English is required here. I need to know what people are saying. No French either. I took French immersion, but I refuse to speak French. Okay, maybe it's on the layer active changing. I think this is the issue. So what I need to do is this message. I need to send, I'll probably have to indicate to the subclass. Okay, that might do what I want. Then I also have to add a thing for the region. I think that'll do it. Text-based language discrimination. Français, c'est difficult. C'est une hard language to learn. Actually, it's pretty easy. You just have to put the E with the accent on everything. You just say, so say une hard language to learn a. I have a hard time choosing between French and Rust. Let me try. Say un hard language to learn a. Oh, that's the wrong a. It has to be an E with an accent. You know, just put the E accent on everything. Isn't LLM translation just crazy good? Why can't we do useful things like that so I can read Spanish and French? Yeah, I've heard it is actually like incredibly good, like even strange like dialects and stuff. Okay, that is doing what we want. Now, if I open a custom frame, it's still broken. What gives? So maybe so the problem is happening when now it's getting reinitialized. So that's going to set it to not active. And because there's no changes, you don't see anything. But if I go open menu, anywhere where there's a change, you see a difference. But because there's still no change in these regions, it's not updating. So it must have something to do with how it's propagating to the main thread. Oh, maybe I need to... So that should force a flush of those changes. So I think we need to trigger the the change in the other thread for it to detect the differences. Sometimes I find songs in foreign languages and I'll ChatGPT to translate it to English and make it rhyme in English. And it works a lot of times. Yeah, it's amazing how it can that kind of thing is it's the type of topic that you would expect. Like 10 years ago, you would say you'll never be able to write a program that does that. But now that's like super easy for a large language model. Want your video? How to become a 37-year-old broke loser. Are you still a loser? Kind of. I'm less broke than I was before. I'm still kind of a loser, but you know, I'm working every day, putting in those hours. This just seems alien to me. LOL. In what way? Okay, let's check the menu. Overcast frame. Oh, it's still broken. Oh man. Okay. What makes you a loser? Oh, have you watched my How to Become a 37-Year-Old Broke Loser video? I guess that's the long answer. Can we see gameplay? Sure. I wonder how this code would look as ones and zeros. I guess I could just open the jar file in a hex editor and show you. A bit like you, learning just like you did a couple years ago. Deep learning and training Training a mini GPT. It takes days. Learning just like in my consulting work, you mean? So here's what gameplay looks like. So you wander around this infinite procedurally generated universe, and then the blocks generate, and then you spam the M key. You press X to go down into a cave, if I can find one. There we go. So you can spam the M key, and then you press C to craft. And if you get enough resources, you can craft out to a larger radius. And that's basically the entire gameplay loop. Losers that become winners have great stories to tell and wisdom to share. Hopefully that's the conclusion of my narrative. Don't blame people for their finances. They try and bust their butts. Yeah, it's the economy, but also like just checks and balances on society are kind of deteriorating. Kind of like the things we talked about capitalism before. Will you add a background? I am actually working on like adding like an additional layer, so you can like see in the third dimension, because you can go up and down. Mainly, so like, for example, I like it so you can actually see where that cave is. But there's a bit of work to do to get there. How big is the map? It's infinite. Oh yeah, someone asked about seeing the ones and zeros. Let's see. So here's the jar file. So I can pipe that into less. So here's that's the hexadecimal of it. I generally don't ever look at anything in binary, but display hex dump. Address radix. Selects output formats, output. We do octal. Bytes per integer. There's octal. That's about the closest I can do. I'm new to learning about this game. How do you win the game? You have to mine all of the blocks, but there's an infinite number of blocks, so it'll take a very long time. Infinite, so you don't remember where it goes. It does so there's a SQLite database. So as you explore the map, so it's basically like the same idea as Minecraft. So if you explore the entire map, it'll fill up your hard drive. Ever talk about multiplayer, but not a win state? Yeah, the goal would be, we'll see. I'm gonna finish the there's a couple of main issues. So number one, fix that bug of trying to fix the night. The next is make it so you can select things in the map area. So right now you can it's possible to place items, but you can only place a rock because it is not possible to select an item, and that's just a limitation of it. I've just never developed that, but now that I have a better inventory area, I will implement that. And then you can select, so I'll just have like an arrow down here, so you can tab into here and then move around to select your item. And once whatever you have selected, so you'll right now you can just press the P key and it'll place a block where you are, but right now that's the only block you can place. So there's that, and then the next thing, last thing I want to implement for the last release is the ability to see the other dimension. So we'll just have like a colored shaded areas in the background. And oversaturated colors, and it will go trending. I've been trying to lean toward the default terminal colors, or like a standard ANSI colors. So I actually don't like this color, but this is the official color black on Ubuntu. -C is for debugging text files. The OD command, is it? All right, how do your clients pay you? There are any in US? Right now, I have not had a payment from a client in a while. It's been actually, I'm doing my taxes. I had some in the last tax year, but if things continue the way they are, so far in this year, I have not had. Wait, have I had a payment last few? Well, anyway, that seems to be trending down to nothing, and I have a feeling that it's the answer to that question is soon going to become clients. Clients do not pay me because I haven't done any client work in a long time. Got hit with CRLF Linux machines in a Windows environment too many times. My last job. So you can use the TR command to get rid of those. Can you run Doom in one of those blocks? I don't think so. Where can I buy the demo? So if you want to play the game, so you actually go down to the description of this video, and there's a link to the GitHub, and to legally be allowed to play the game, you have to become comply with the license. So if you've become a channel member, or you've paid me at least $1 in the past on something, bought merch, or contributed at least $1 before. Infinite minds means victory is always out of reach. We're destined to be losers forever. Never will those great stories and great wisdom share. you can mine an infinite number of things. So technically, you never lose. That's I guess a glass half full way to look at it. All right, let's think about so this must be in the console reader thread. This might be a symptom of so I updated this. Am I the wrong class? Nope. Merge active layers. This might be a function of this thing running multiple times. So if a given point is in two regions, this will run multiple times, and that might be one of the reasons why this is messed up. Yep, losing has not been implemented yet. That's for a future update. Make a button that explodes every block. Maybe with every block have a unique explosion effects. So the game currently is limited. It runs only in the terminal, so the graphics are extremely limited. Actually, maybe I can. Let's try. This the display kind of messes up sometimes, but let's try this. Oh, nice. So before, last time I did this, it's funny, I haven't changed anything, but last time the display was like super tiny and it stretched, but this time it looks like it's normal. So this is the game running in a purely like restricted console. So it only runs with either emoji characters if you're in a graphical terminal environment, but if you're running in like a really primitive TTY with no advanced like frame buffer or anything, then you can still play the game in this context as well. There you go. So because it can't display the wood emoji, every block is just the first letter of its class name. So W's for wood, R's for rock. So we get some stuff to mine over here. That's iron ore, I guess. You can still open frames and read the help menu. It's a lot faster in pure console. There you have it. There's the game running on a pure TTY. So for explosion effects, I need like an actual. I need to use like an actual graphics library or something, and then it would have to use like OpenGL or something. Or actually, I don't have any 3D graphics programming experience. If I got to that point, I would probably just outsource it to someone else. Yet, there's a limit how much I can do. I think if I could get the like graphics and stuff like that is it's impressive because it's what you see, but the stuff that you appreciate the most is like it's the networking and having it actually work and stuff. I just thought of something. I could maybe test. So I have a hypothesis that the root of my problems here might be down to running this code with duplicate points. So let's write some throwaway code. I probably won't commit this, but if I do this and it starts magically working, then at least I know what the bug was. And it's a very simple test. Because these regions can potentially overlap. In fact, they will overlap for the help menu, for the text in the help menu. Sam has become a member. I guess I'd assumed you were a member. You're so familiar in the chat. Let's see. I think that's what I want. Let's run that, and then if this fixes everything, then that tells me that the bug was related to points that are iterated over twice. All right, open a frame. All right, that did not resolve the bug. Therefore, the code that I added did not fix the issue. And there's still one other thing to test, and that is to add the same thing to here, because it might be from that function as well. All right. Open up menu. And again, it does not work. It's still broken. Therefore, the issue does not appear to be related to points that exist in multiple regions. Let's see. You're from part of the Canada that says about or a boot. I think I've seen comments on my video. Someone commented on my video that they're like, do you realize that you change how you pronounce the word about depending on the context? I never noticed that. Let's see. I guess I can start experimenting with stuff. To try and reverse engineer why that problem happens. Now, what if I make the background color green? Will this change the functionality? Just wondering, since I found out it's different depending on your location in Canada. Hollywood needs to get their crap together. Yeah, differences like that are, those are one of those things where like large language models can, like obviously if someone has a, you know, a certain accent or something, as they say, they talk, you can easily identify someone is from New York, but then like super subtle differences like that, like the pronunciation of about, you can maybe vaguely tell where they're from, but then a large language model could probably like pinpoint it with statistical accuracy in a certain area, and then the next sentence you might give away some other subtle pronunciation hint, and then that's another hint, so it can like, you know, just from a tiny bit of information, it can surmise so much. All right. Interesting. So that had no effect. I think that mask might not even be necessary. Strange how it's only on the text. Go to debugger help here. Probably not. It would probably take too long to trace through the message because I'm debugging printing messages and there's like 10 billion printing messages, and I could probably, like, if I craft a very specific if statement, I can probably put that in. I'd have to, like, think about it, write a good if statement to catch that packet, and then, like, so I can breakpoint within the if condition. But it also goes between threads, so I can't. It's difficult to track the message as it moves through the between the threads. Maybe I'll have to resolve that if it works. I'll try to just do, like, experiments to figure out more precisely where what triggers it and what doesn't. Love how you mentioned LLM when talking about accents. Really makes you wonder if AI is actually a threat, since you can fool it with slight change in tone and pronunciation. Since you can or can't, because that's an area where the AI is going to be way better than us. Vulgar language helps. I guess it probably depends on what type of query you're providing. I know if you provide, like, additional context, like if you say imagine that you're a high IQ expert at this thing, it actually gives better results apparently, which I guess makes sense. Or, like, if you kind of prime it for the right context. I think I don't want this, but this will make it way slower. So I think this will still work. It just sends 10 billion more messages. I want to break my MacBook over my knee. That would be expensive. I may have anger problems, but as long as I'm not violent. I guess that's better than the alternative. All right. That makes the issue go away. Now, how slow is this? Actually, that's not too bad. However, this is interesting. Because that means that somehow those areas of the map are like not getting propagated through or something. Interesting. Spare a screen in case you spear a screen. Hopefully I will not have that specific issue. So the whole point behind this function is it's supposed to make it a bit smarter in propagating differences. I have a spare, but I need a car battery to run it. Is that was it you? Was having the conversation with about the your battery died for your keyboard or something? We were talking about just running off a car battery. I mean, it would work as long as you've got a regulator. Now the question is, why do these differences not propagate? Does Tesla run on Linux? I thought some of their cars did run it at one point. It runs off single AA. I have the buck converter necessary, and the car size lithium battery. Yep, that's exactly how keywords are meant to be run. At least it'll last a decent amount of time. And that regulator that you're burning all the volts off on, that'll keep your house warm. I was wanted to Tesla so I could try to drive with my laptop. I think a lot of modern vehicles have what is it called, the a CAN bus that you can plug into. And from some experiences that from stuff that I've worked on, I'm aware of the fact that you can actually, like, there's not a lot of, security and protection in those, so you can just like hook into them and you send all kinds of you can really mess up your car, stall it, and get it to do all sorts of stuff it's not supposed to. Buck converters are a switching supply that uses an inductor to dissipate the voltage and a capacitor to smooth it. Much more efficient than a voltage regulator. Yeah, but then it also has a ripple, so now you get a kind of bumpy voltage off it. But with a nice linear regulator, you get a perfect, nice, smooth, no sinusoidal oscillations and high frequency harmonics. So the issue appears to be something with my compute differences. Function. So presumably this thing is detecting no change. Since the last update. Which does make sense. So it doesn't need to even propagate that information. It's supposed to be already sent. I guess if I'm just activating and deactivating that layer, it shouldn't need to even be sent. So it must be still an issue with the merge. ODB2 port. Yeah, that's one of the keywords. Battery is LiPo, so it's 14.2 nominal. The A would be 1.7 or less, so I have to drop 12.7 volts. Sounds like a fire hazard. In the revision on GitHub, in computer differences, the value assigned to has changed. Yeah, that's yeah, that was a temporary change I did just to identify. So adding that, like you could say, it fixes the problem, but the difference there is when I add that. I think because when I initialize it, there's changes in the entire thing. So but the consequence of that is that I think it would just always see differences in it. So basically, it meant it's like flushing the differences all the time. The thing I'm trying to do is to be smarter in the code, so it should actually calculate the differences instead of just always propagating, always assuming everything's changed. But I did that to kind of isolate where the bug might be. And I think it has something to do with like, so I have like the help menu is a totally different separate layer, and I'm writing to it, but then it shuts off. So somewhere in here there's I guess I could add more like debugging stuff to this, so to like inspect the layers or something, but that's still more work to implement the debuggingness. Free delay. Oh yeah, it says hey there, how's it going? Best language for game devs. Do you prefer Rust, I've never programmed Rust, but I know there's a lot of people who are big on it. I would say among good languages would be maybe Rust, Java, Go potentially, maybe some other like kind of higher level languages. And I would say bad languages would be like C, C++. I think if the game is large, like if you're gonna, like if you're planning to make a production game, if you're gonna work on it for a long, if it's more than like a week-long project, I would not use Python. Answer is always C++. Yeah, you will, like even in this project, I have some C and C++ code, and that's because some of the interfaces, some of the kernel interfaces that I want to interact with, there's no Java bindings for it. So there may be cases. There also may be like actually like 3 graphics programming. I actually have no idea. I mean, that's an interesting question. I've never even considered like what is the support in Java for like advanced 3D graphics programming. My guess is there's probably none in Java, and it's probably all done by like outsourcing to a JNI, custom JNI library, and then writing it in C or C++. I've not wanted to make a game in Rust. Yeah, I've no I don't write Rust, so no experience. Obviously, I would use Java. Intercal is intentionally the worst language. Yeah, I guess you could write it in that. C++ sucks, but is unavoidable. So it's worth learning, at least one of them. Yeah, yeah, especially for anything that touches the kernel interface. In a lot of cases, like I find you are forced to use a particular language for certain things. Like in this project, there's literally no way. Like as an example, the yeah, this thing here. This thing to set a signal handler to catch signal window change events. I did actually find there was some like Sun Microsystems thing, some like deprecated thing, and I tried using it, and then it wouldn't work. And then there was like some flag that they were like, oh, just use this, compile it with this special flag or run it with the JPM, and that'll work. And I tried it and it wouldn't work. And then I found out that like even the flag was deprecated. So there's literally no way to do this in Java because it's an operating system thing. So you can ask the question like, which language is the best language to catch the signal window change event? And the answer is like you have to use, I guess you could probably use Python or something, but then you would still need some way to bind and call out from the Java to your Python, which I don't know if there's, that you'd probably have to write to some other C binding to interact with the Python code or something. So on some level, you're if you want to use a certain thing, generally you may be forced to use a particular language. I like C for certain things, but I think every tool has its job. if you were to leverage the latest AI tools like Cursor, whatnot, would that actually help with this block mining game? I have yet to try to give it like a serious try. I did ask it some stuff today. I think I went on Copilot and I just asked the project. I asked it like, how would I speed up printing to the terminal? And the answers it gave back, it was like, that actually, it really does the response it gave me, it made me think, okay, it actually does kind of understand the context of the application. But in a way, it was also like, as I read over it, it was almost like, it's almost like it's cheerleading. So it's it looks like so it gave me suggestions for what to do, and it referenced my code. But the suggestions were basically what I already did. So it's almost like it explained what I've already done in my project. There was maybe one reference where it said, it actually did give me one new idea, which was using string builder, and then basically like for every call of like print terminal text changes, just do one sys.print instead of like one for every point, which probably will speed it up a decent amount. But at least I profiled it today, and that's not the first thing, the top thing. But I have I need to get around to it's on my to-do list to like actually sit down and like learn the tools find out which of these AI tools I should use and like read the license and stuff. I don't really want to just go on stream and willy-nilly. Like I say, I also have to you have to talk to an API, I think, so you have to be signed into something. AI hallucinates too much. No guy who's using Cursor. AI tends to hallucinate general stuff rather than focusing on project-specific stuff. Yeah, I'd probably have to experiment to figure out like how to use it in the most high effective way possible. Like there's a lot of situations where some of the most tedious things are like I do small incremental refactors, and ideally what I want to do is I'd want to say like, okay, refactor this project so that every instance of this function has passed in some parameter or something like that. But I have to go through all these cases, and sometimes I have to like instantiate it. I have to look at the context in each case and say like, okay, in this context, add in an empty variable, and in this other context, pass it in from the parent function. And that's something that I think it might be within the reach of an LLM to be smart enough to do that correctly. Like I was using AI, kept adding React stuff to the code base, so it creates a ton of bloat and vulnerabilities. Yeah, I can imagine. You could use it to make more of those little message classes. Yeah, I did ask it to make one of those message classes, but then again, I don't know. I'm also thinking I might even generalize that somehow. Like maybe like I have so many of those message classes, it might even make sense to like make my own generator that just like statically generates them, so that they were all like identical. Ears are ringing. Not sure. Can't help with that. If making a game, you might want to check out Flutter or Love. Interesting. I'll probably forget about them after the stream, but if when people recommend stuff over and over again, I usually end up remembering. It's good to know about your AI experience so far. I feel like Dinosaur. At least ChatGPT has a faster Stack Overflow. Yeah, stuff is changing super fast. Like in the last couple of years, I haven't done as much coding, and there's all these like new people now who are like, oh yeah, I've been using AI for years to code. They're like veterans at AI coding, but then again, a lot of them are like super green, like they never learned to code in the first place. Their only experience coding is with these AI models. Personally, I think that like some of the stuff I've seen so far, I don't actually think we're at like the singularity moment yet. I think that a lot of the so-called layoffs and stuff, where companies are going to be like, oh man, we just laid off all these engineers. I think a lot of that is basically the companies wanting to reduce headcount anyway, and they're blaming AI because there's a financial incentive to pretend that your company's doing better because it raises your stock price. If you basically say like, hey, we just figured out a way to make a lot of money and lay everyone off, that's almost always a thing that makes your stock go up. So I think that's the main reason they're doing that. It's just an excuse to get rid of headcount that they overhired for. And there's really they have not realized substantial AI gains, or like they maybe they have, but maybe it's going to come back to bite them. But I do think that I think there'll probably be a kind of a crash of the hype cycle of AI coding, but then it might actually get started again because I'm confident what is happening now. Every single large language model interaction you have is itself more training data for the next version of the large language model. So you can, like for example, you could take two large language model transcripts, and one is where someone says like, refactor this code base to be 10% faster, and then so that's the first input. Then your LLM do something, and then the next output is like, wow, that's great, you solved my problem, thank you, and then that's the end of it. If you take that chat interaction versus another one where the person goes back and forth, says like, no, that's totally wrong, you're doing it wrong, you just added new bugs, and then it's like 5 hour long transcript. That itself is more labels for the next iteration of the training. And so you could even include like the internal stuff that the chat does, and like the hidden like when it does its internal thought stuff, and that can be just tokenized. Maybe it's hidden from the user, but when you feed that chat conversation into the next training, you can just output whatever the parameters were for, like, the variables or whatever, and then that can be trained upon. So every interaction with an LLM is going to make it better for the future. And the question is, how fast is it going to converge? Both are open source, let you make cross-platform games. Designed for ease of development. Interesting. I've embedded Java runtime in C++, but I've done a lot of Java myself. Calling back to C. How do you load a library /so? That's a good question. I'll show you in a sec. They learn asked you to pick between answers. Yeah, you're just giving labels. But even if you don't explicitly give labels, you're implicitly giving labels by, like, having a pleasant conversation. Because you can just do sentiment analysis to, like, analyze this large language model interaction on a scale of 1 to 10. Is the person satisfied? And then that'll be their labels. I only did Java for about a month before going crazy with C#. Is it randomly to slow them down? Yeah, that's a good point. That could be an attack vector. It's like poison the large language model with a bunch of garbage, and then once our entire economy runs on large language models, then we'll just one person could just spam a bunch of garbage stuff into it, and then, like, make the world lose its entire mind. Okay, you asked about the okay, so for the build process, so this was something I ended up looking up. this is something that tripped me up for a long time in getting this to work in IntelliJ. So it's in the Maven process classes phase. This runs, and so basically this here you could just copy and paste that and run that as a command in the command line. So it's just like run javac -d on this directory. So C++ target classes, and that runs a make file. Yeah, executable make. So the make file is it's here, maybe. Yeah, make file. So here's the make file for the JNI. That's the JNI library. And so the make command runs this, and this is dependent on where is it? Okay, that's just C and C++. There is a yeah, this is an auto-generated file. So this one gets generated. This file gets generated, if I'm not mistaken, by this command. And so that's the critical link, and the linking, the loading is yeah. So the C++ classes. Okay, there it was. Yeah, so in that target directory, that's where the SO gets compiled to. And then the loading is and I also have it so as a command line flag, you can disable the JNI, but then you don't get resize events. Load G. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's not it. Okay, so if JNI is enabled, which is a command line flag, then it creates an instance of Linux block JNI interface. Because you can have one for every single, you could have one for Windows and stuff. Load inside jar, I think that was, I had that for debugging, maybe. Oh yeah, I think that was for when I was testing. When I was testing it to figure out how to load it, initially I would just compile the SO and then load it as an external file. But as you say, it has to be loaded from somewhere. So right now it's packaged in the jar file. So yeah, load inside jar. So if we're loading inside jar, okay, yeah, if it's not, then I just expect it to be. So this thing, it puts, this thing assumes it's prefixed with lib and .so, and it's in, Okay, I guess I put that, yeah. So this location is specified with this. And then, but because I want it to be all packaged in the same jar, we're loading inside jar. Input streams null. I guess we throw exception. Okay, we create a temp file. Okay. Yeah, so we grab a reference to the library file itself within this jar file. So that from that we just basically pull out the jar or the shared object file, create a temp file. I guess that I'm pretty sure that just shows up in /temp. And then we can do system.load. So if it's an actual library, I'm not sure why they have this difference here, but I remember this is for loading the library, and then if to load an arbitrary file, you just unpackage the temp and then load it that way. We have different jars for different Arch OS combos, so put all such combos libraries in one jar. I think you would have to have different ones for different like operating systems. The way I've implemented it, I'm trying to like design this so that you could theoretically. Actually, I think if you look at the Minecraft jar, it has like 50 different. There's a whole bunch of different shared objects within it, probably for different operating systems. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if I ever get there, because right now this jar, this shared object, it only grabs one signal. But if I end up implementing like mouse support and stuff, I could, but it depends. I've got to focus on the important things. So the question is like, should I go all for mouse support and stuff? Does that even make sense? Because if you want to support a mouse and have a rich graphical application, then you can write use like all those other game libraries, and I don't know what would it be. OpenGL, I guess that's mostly the that's the graphic stuff. But it would make sense to just use like normal windowed functions like X functions or Wayland or whatever. If I even consider doing that. Does anyone stare at their network at night, taking the beauty? Lights are like stars in the night. I do have a server that's on, and I'll always find myself looking at the status lights on it. But anyway, so it's past 1. I should probably call it a night. Actually, I don't think I did any relevant coding tonight. But we raised some more funds for the World Domination Fund. Seems like I never gave Java its due. Every opportunity that involved Java for us was either short-lived or never materialized. Yeah, Java's decent. I guess I continue to use it because I'm just not that familiar with other things. I mean, I could switch and maybe use Go or Rust, but it's like we talked about before. It's just a never-ending treadmill of new languages and stuff. And like there's no reason not to use Java. So anyway, I will leave it there for tonight, and I guess I'll probably be back tomorrow night. So talk to you guys later.